3 running, 4 running. Okay, I guess that means I'm good to go. Hey, thanks for being here. I am here Sunday evening, little after 5. Got to share something with you. Give me a second here. Uh-oh. All right, cool. I think I'm good now. Thanks for being here. Again, Sunday evening. Um, here a little bit after 5. This isn't my norm. Normally, I take Sundays and I just do me. I do just some things that I want to do. And I try to make sure that I don't do anything that is business related or anything like that. It's just a day where I just take off and pretty much just stay to myself or do what I want to do. However, I'm here, glad to be here, glad to be here with you, glad that you are here with me. I ran out of the week. So I'm committed to doing 2 videos a week. I have a affirmations with Ace series that I do every Monday. Make sure that you plug into that. And then I do another video on just any topic that I feel led to talk about. So as the week was going on, I was running out of time. I normally do it on Thursdays, which is what I normally do here. I would do on Thursdays, but my Thursday was just so inundated with a lot of things dealing with business that by the time the evening time came around, I was just fried. I was fried mentally. Had a very exhausting evening Thursday night that turned into Friday, and Saturday just wasn't feeling it. And that's why I'm here today. I did see an interesting video. Shout out to my son, Anthony. Saw one of his TikTok videos, and you might want to follow him. His handle is Gifted Cuddo, Cuddo. But he did a very good job on this video explaining the difference between motivation and inspiration. And I literally did not have the motivation to do this video, but the inspiration part of me is why I'm here. And so, shout out to my son. I'm actually starting a series with my sons called, it'll either be Ace and Sons or Father and Sons. And it's just going to be a video series where we talk about different humanitarian topics or topics that are affecting humanity, where you'll be able to see 2 different perspectives. Both my sons are very opinionated, but they are in that generation that I tap into because I want to know how they think. I'm tapped into my generation. I know how my generation thinks, but I want to learn and understand their generation. And I decided to do this series. We had some very, very deep conversations. I know for a while last year, we met like every Sunday and we just talked about different things. So my goal is to mimic some of those conversations and keep them as authentic as if we were, personally talking as we've done so many Sundays week to week, but to put that in front of you so that you can get a different perspective as to, how we interact. And what's cool about it is you're going to see a different side of me come out. The sensei Ace may not always be there, but it's going to be a real fun thing. So I'm looking to start that up in the next week or two. Again, I don't know the name of it. It's going to probably be Ace and Sons or Father and Sons, but it's going to be the 3 of us, me and my 2 sons, just basically talking about different topics that are affecting humanity. Okay. So just make sure that you subscribe. Okay. And I don't do that in every one of my videos, but, I started this about maybe 6, 7 weeks ago, just staying consistent with a minimum of 2 videos a week. I think I have about 150 subscribers right now. I'm working to get that to 200. So smash the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos that are coming out, because I've got some really, really deep, cool content that will help enhance your life. Okay. So just want to make a plug for that show. Before I get into the main topic that I want to talk about today, I want to talk about Haiti, Haitian Gate. How about we go with that? I've been seeing a lot of correspondence about everything that's taking place with the people coming over the border, and people are zoning in on the fact that the border patrol were whipping these individuals. And immediately the narrative jumps political. It jumps political. It's this administration's fault. It's this administration's fault. And I want you to consider something. This may have nothing to do with politics. In my opinion, it's a humanitarian problem. It's a humanitarian issue. The White House didn't call the Border Patrol and tell them to ride out on horses and treat those people that way. This should give all the viewers, all the people that are watching this story closely, a understanding of where we are as human beings. That's that's how I would ask you to look at this. This is a humanitarian thing. Okay. I don't understand the horses. I really don't. When I saw it, I was just like, what? I mean, I'm like, what is going on here? Horses? Now, and then I thought, well, maybe they use horses so that they go back and forth over the water. I have no idea. So I didn't understand that. I'm pretty sure they have other vehicles. Why they use horses, I don't know. Maybe it's the terrain, but I'm pretty sure we have vehicles that can just about drive across any terrain. But again, the thing that I saw was this is a humanitarian issue. Now, I also know that there's some people that are looking at this and they're probably saying, why are those people trying to come over here? Like, stay where you're at. And looking down on these Haitians as if they're a second class person or if their lives are not as important as yours. Everybody always wants to play judge. They want to play God. They want to play the one that can speak to something without having full understanding. Those people are coming and trying to get to this country for a reason. But because we're so focused on what's playing out today, we don't think through, okay, what's the real issue going on here? And what I want to do is just take a minute or two and give you some information about Haiti. Let's talk about the fact that in the late 1700s, right around 1800, pretty close to 500,000 people over there were enslaved by the French. Let's talk about that in 1800 because Haiti was rich in resources. So let's back up and look at that. Let's look at the fact that these slaves, because of how they were being treated, rose up, fought their slave masters, and gained their independence. I believe it was in 1804. Okay, gained their independence. So they were enslaved, gained their independence. 20 years later, they were surrounded by warships threatening to invade and destroy them if they didn't pay what I would call reparations. And the reparations was a payback based on what the slave masters lost with the uprising. So I want you to think about this for a minute. You and 500,000 people enslaved, you fought for your slavery. Then 20 years later, your oppressors come back and say, hey, either you pay us or we're going to invade and destroy everything. So you decide to make reparations and pay back for your freedom. And I think in today's money, the it was about it's about $21 billion that Haiti had to pay back their oppressors, and it took them over 100 years. I think they finally made the payment back in like 1947 or something like that. 1940, yeah. I want that to just simmer in your mind a little bit, because we spend so much time looking at a situation and judging it from the convenience of our situation and not understand the backstory. No different than the decisions you made 5 years ago are directly impacting your life now. Could it not be that decisions that were made a couple 100 years ago are impacting that country yet today? And my whole point in bringing this up is we need to stop being so judgmental and start looking at things from a larger perspective. I don't have in my mental arsenal any solutions for immigration. I don't. I do know this: when we start to make other human beings less than we are, that's a humanitarian problem. And it goes back to the Border Patrol feeling that they're so empowered that they can hit another human being with a whip or treat human beings differently for one reason or another. And that's why it's a humanitarian problem. We always jump to the political side of things. We always jump to, okay, it's the White House, it's this administration, it's that administration. This would have happened no matter who was in the White House. This administration, the past administration, it would now it might have been spent a little differently, but it would have happened because that's where we are as a human species. There are a number of us that look down on other human beings because of what? Because of what? Maybe they're poor, not educated, don't have the resources. So we look down on them. It's like it's their fault that they're in the situation they're in. Because in this country, we're taught it's survival of the fittest. But just imagine if you were second, third generation of the slaves that gained their independence in that country, and then you had to be caught up in the repayment of that and have that country economically screwed up on many different fronts because of something that originated called slavery in that country. So I would challenge you to just expand your mind a little bit when you're looking at some of these current events. And whenever I see something on the news, I take the time to go back as far as I can. Yep. I take the time to look at different angles, to look at different viewpoints. And the biggest thing that I took from that border situation is the treatment of those individuals goes back to where we are as a human species. And we need to take some time and really just identify also maybe some of the biases that we have within ourselves, because there's a larger issue at hand, much larger issue. So take some time, let that mind, marinate in your mind, let that digest in your spirit, and see what you come up with. See what populates in your mental after looking at that situation. 2020, moving forward, is kind of like the timeline of things being exposed. And it's also the timeline of full transparency. And I think we're all going to get hit with truth. We're going to get hit with information that it's going to stretch us for the overall good so that we can come together. And it takes me right into the topic I want to talk about today, and it's the number one reason why people aren't transparent. Why aren't people transparent with one another? Why am I not transparent with you, and why aren't you transparent with me? Well, the number one reason is because we have a fear of people's reaction. So I can't be truthful with you because I'm afraid of how you may react. You can't be truthful with me because you're afraid how Ace is going to react. And when you really look at it, I understand it. I understand the hesitation. We feel that if we hold back, we spare the other and nobody gets hurt. But if you really, really, really take a deeper look at it, the spiritual truth, the universal truth is this: both sides get hurt. Indirectly, if I'm holding truth back from you, you get hurt because you don't have the information. So you're going about our dynamic assuming that something is, and I directly hurt myself because now I'm harboring an untruth within me about our dynamic. So I'm directly hurt because I'm holding back truth, and you're indirectly hurt because you're operating in this dynamic, assuming. You know any relationships like that? You know any connections like that? You know any people that operate that way? And I'm not just talking about like marital relationships or spousal relationships or boyfriend. I'm talking about relationships as a whole. Because when we're not able to be transparent with each other, we weaken the relationship, we weaken the connection. And what happens after it's weakened? Well, the relationship becomes fractured and then it eventually collapses. And then when it collapses, we jump into the blame game. Now all the ugliness comes out. Now it's the blame game. It's your fault. It's my fault. It's their fault. I'm a liar. You're a liar. All of that takes place when, if we can just operate in transparency from the very beginning, things would run a lot smoother. But when you really take a look at what it takes to be transparent, it's breaking those blocks that have been built in us, that have been programmed in us to hold back truth and not be truthful. A lot of us been doing it for all our lives. It takes work to break out of that. It takes work to say, you know what, I'm at a place in my life where moving forward, I'm just going to be transparent. It takes a lot of work. It sounds easy, but it's not. It's not, because of all the resistance, because of the fear that we have lodged in us. Many times we try to control so many things going on with us. And something that I learned a long time ago, the very thing that you seek to control ultimately controls you. So you're in a relationship with someone. We don't even have to use a relationship. You just met someone and you guys are talking, this, that, and the other. You guys are dating, this, that, and the other. And about the fifth or sixth date, I may not be feeling it. But because you've been so nice, because you've been so accommodating, I don't deal with the fact that I'm not feeling our connection. I don't deal with the fact that, geez, I need to tell this individual that I'm just not feeling this. No. So what I do is I continue on this path of this connection, and you indirectly get hurt, and I directly hurt myself because now I'm operating in fear. And see, when you operate in fear, there are different variations of fear. But when you're operating in fear, any kind of fear, what it does is it lowers your energy vibration, it weighs you down. And I want you to get this point, because this is something that I'm now starting to discover about this whole energy and frequency thing. There are levels to this. When you can't be truthful with yourself, it's very hard to be truthful with another. That's number one. Number two is when you recognize the truth about your connection or your relationship with someone else, and you don't operate in that energy of being transparent, you weigh yourself down. Your spirit is weighed down, your energy is weighed down. You're in a totally different, lower frequency, which holds you down into this denseness. And this denseness slows everything else up in your life. You may think that what you're holding is just between you and this other person, but you don't understand the fallout of how that affects the different other aspects of your life, health wise, in your other relationships with you, in so many different ways. And as you're lowering your frequency, as you're lowering your energy, as you're lowering your vibration into this dense, dark environment, what starts to happen is the side effects of that: more fear. And where there's fear, what else do you think happens? Your cousin doubt shows up. Your other cousin uncertainty shows up. Uncle lack shows up. It lowers your sense of awareness where you can be sharp about what's going on with you. Fear is a very clever illusion that binds us in this lower frequency of energy. And that's why people struggle with making decisions. People struggle with uncertainty. People struggle with building their faith in anything because of the lower density vibrations that they keep themselves in. It affects your ability to trust, it affects your ability to see the good in others. Just this one connection. That's what it does, because what happens is you transfer it to other aspects of your life. Now you can't be transparent with your mother, can't be transparent with your kids. And you feel that you're making the sacrifice by holding this stuff in because it's all about, hey, I need to spare this other person. We need to start being honest with each other. We need to start understanding that honesty and just being transparent and just talking through things, there is an authenticity with that that is helpful and healing in every situation that you're in with someone, whether it's um, a relationship with, a marital relationship, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, doesn't matter. It could be a business partner. That transparency and that honesty heals and brings that connection closer together. Just because you're not feeling it with someone does not make them bad, and it doesn't make you good or vice versa. It is what it is. All of this is energy, all of this is frequency. We are all fractional beings of the one source, God. And just because you're feeling your frequency not line up with mine doesn't devalue me, and vice versa. So we got to start being honest, because ultimately we're just playing a game with ourselves where there are no winners. Nobody's getting better. Nobody's moving forward. And a lot of times we're stuck. In the last couple months, I've noticed some things about myself that I thought I dealt with that I'm working through now. Transparency is your best friend. So let's stop with this attitude of we need to spare people because what we might tell them may hurt them. Now, there are ways to deliver information like that that's sensitive, but we need to get out of the business of not being transparent with one another. We need to get out of that business. We've been hanging out, this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden, I'm not feeling it or you're not feeling it. We owe it to our connection to just be upfront with it. Like, no, this is what I'm experiencing. It's all energy, it's all frequency. If let's just say I'm let's just say I'm dating you, okay? You're a female, whatever. And after 4 or 5 dates, I'm not feeling it, and you've been great. It may not have anything to do with you, it may have everything to do with me. But I owe you the understanding of what's going on with me as it relates to our dynamic, and vice versa. And you talk through it. We're all evolving at different rates, we're all evolving at different levels of frequency. There's no good or bad. That's in business as well. That's in any relationship. It could be a parental relationship with a kid, it could be two siblings. It doesn't matter. We have to be more transparent. If not, we're going to hold ourselves in this lower dense vibrational frequency, and it's going to stop our manifestation power. And it's not that we won't continue to manifest, because we will, but the intentional manifestation that you're looking for can't come about because you're holding and harboring fear. So you're going to get mixed results in the very things that you're trying to bring about and experience in your life. Guys, this is really, really deep. And I'm probably going to come back with a more clear cut training on this, because I feel many of us are navigating through life and we're not intentionally setting certain standards for ourselves. We're not understanding that our very thoughts, our very words, our very movements, and our interactions affect everything that's going on with us. And I'm going to tell you something. What I'm talking about right now, a year ago, I couldn't even, I wouldn't be able to even understand. But now I'm starting to get it. Now I'm starting to put some of these dots together, and it's starting to bring about some clarity. And I guess with what I'm going through and what I've been going through over the last year and a half is starting to allow me to be more aware of the different aspects of me and some things that are happening within me, and giving me the opportunity to say, hey, slow down. Let's look at this for what it is. So let's stop operating with, okay, I can't share this with someone because it's going to hurt their feelings. Let's start playing judge when it comes to that stuff, and let's operate with more transparency, because what that does is strengthens things. Because if you're in a situation with me and you're not feeling it and you let me know, well, then that can go one or two ways. We can talk through it and get back on that same vibe, that same frequency, or we can say, okay, we go our separate ways. You never know, we might jump back in a different timeline and move on. And we can move on stronger because of the transparency that we had through our situation. You want strong, authentic connections and relationships with everybody you're dealing with. Everybody, whoever your tribe is, your family, your business partners, your associates, everyone that you communicate with, you want strong, authentic connections. This is the age of transparency. And what you think you may be holding back will eventually affect you in another way, another aspect of your life. So take the time and look at that. Look at all the people in your life. Look at all the people that you deal with and ask yourself, do I have an authentic connection with them? And if not, why not? And see what comes up. See the different layers of fear that are surfacing. And here's the other thing, the more I study, the more I realize how you and I are, we're the same. We're one. We're all energy. We look at these bodies and we put so much focus on the physical, and this physical is really nothing. I mean, it's a manifestation because we're here as physical beings. But what I mean is, who we truly are, it's not these bodies. But because we're in these physical bodies, because we're so attached to the physical reality of things, we take things personal. So someone doesn't like you anymore, we take it personal because it's like, okay, what is it about me that they don't like? And we run off and play that movie. Why am I not good enough? And that's part of the problem. That's part of the issue. There are more things going on than just the thing of this person liking you or not liking you. And what does that really mean? If I say I don't like you, what does that really mean? Because that could very well mean when I say I don't like you, I may be really saying I don't like myself. You don't know. A lot of times people have to be harsh and cut you off because they can't deal with it. Some people can't deal with people loving them genuinely. And these are some of the things that you have to understand. And that's why it's so important for all of us to individually work on being transparent with one another. Because as I heal what's going on within me, as I begin to clean up the fears that I have rolling around and existing in me, what do you think happens? It allows you to do the same way. Because now I can be transparent with you, you can be transparent with me. Now we have a solid connection. This is getting deep because they're speaking through me. But transparency is the key. And the very first individual that you need to practice this on is self. You need to start looking at the lies that you've been telling yourself about you. And they're there. People run around talking about all the time, oh, I love myself. Really? Take a look at that. You may be surprised. And to do that, you have to be so aware of what you're thinking, what you're saying, and how you're feeling at the same time. Like, have you ever had a conversation with someone where there's some dialogue going on, and as you're speaking or as they're speaking, you're feeling certain things? You have to understand what those feelings represent. Are those emotions tied to something in the past? Are those emotions tied to a fear in the future? Are those feelings that are taking place because of the dynamic and the individual across to you? You have to start understanding yourself more. And what I like to do is when I'm having a conversation with someone, whether it's in person or on the phone, I examine my feelings because they're there. There's also a transference of energy back and forth as you're having dialogue. There's some people that you've talked on the phone to and you feel absolutely nothing. You feel absolutely empty. You need to ask yourself, well, what is really going on here? Why is this going on in this particular situation? It could be that the fact that you're checked out because you're all mentally wrapped up in some other situation. So you're not even present with them. You've drifted. Transparency. We all individually have to work on our transparency. We all have to work on being more transparent first with us, clearing up our insecurities, our fears, and then start working with the individuals that we interact with day to day and be transparent with them. There are some people that you're connected to that you have a near flawless connection with. You have to ask yourself, well, why? Why is this flowing this way? And then there are other people you need some work. You may have a lot of ego connected with that connection and that relationship. Why? So I'm going to close out because I am going to come with a part two to this. And because I am just being flooded with all types of thoughts pertaining to this issue, because I believe that what we hold in our spirit as far as our authentic truth has so many implications. So many implications as to how we interact and deal with one another. And it ties to everything. It even ties to what I was talking to you about before, about this whole Haiti situation and the Border Patrol. It ties even to that. Because sometimes fear can give you a false sense of power over another because of fear. So that's going to be it. It's been about 40 something minutes. Wanted to keep this under 45 minutes. Thanks for being here. Hey, share this if you're led. Definitely subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos. I will be back here tomorrow with Affirmations with Ace, continuing that series. And we're going to continue to work together to individually get better and to individually be a better example to the people around us and the rest of humanity. Okay, love and respect, and I will see you in the next video.